Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Comics Talk. That's what I finally decided to call it.
Hmm.
And yes, last week did, which was Batman Year One. But technically, I'm recording Spider-Man Blue first. I'm doing Batman Year One. I'm recording that a little later, but that video will come out first. But yeah, Merry Christmas! It's Christmas Day, at least when this video releases. And yeah, in today's story we're doing Spider-Man Blue. The reason why I decided to do Spider-Man Blue, originally I was going to do Spider-Man Season 1, but then I was like, my siblings know Spider-Man's origin story. You know, the iconic Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and then, he didn't stop a mugging, so his uncle got shot.
Ooh, that's
And
the actual original story.
yes.
Dang it, I didn't know that was really proper.
But
I remember seeing the scene where didn't he get on the wall
yes, he did climb
across
a
the
wall.
and stuff?
But yeah, come on, everyone knows Spider-Man's origin story.
Yeah, I know he gets bit and stuff, but I didn't know his uncle does.
But I guess the only part that was Spider-Man's first villain was the Vulture.
Wait, really?
Yes, Spider-Man's first. Well, not really. He technically fought the Chameleon first, but people consider his first true villain to be the Vulture.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we get reading Spider-Man Blue here today. This is a story written by Jeff Loeb and inked or lettered, or not lettered. Let me check. No, that's not it. I think Jeff. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Storytellers are Jeff Loeb and Tim Sales. And this is part of the color series that Marvel did. There are a total of four of them. There's Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, and Captain America White.
Those are such weird colors.
Well, they all fit the character.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Captain America does have white in his costume. Daredevil did used to have yellow on his costume, and Hulk used to be gray when he first appeared.
Yeah, I knew that stuff. But...
And Spider-Man Blue, though, I mean, he has blue on his outfit. But it's also supposed to represent a emotion.
That makes more sense. Wait, why is Daredevil happy?
Oh no, it's a negative emotion.
Oh.
It's supposed to yeah. And then I look before I do know, I've only read two of them, which was Hulk Gray and Spider-Man Blue, and they're generally more sad, depressing stories.
Dang.
But yeah, so Spider-Man Blue is about the story of Gwen Stacy and how Peter Parker felt. You know. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's blue now, so he's sad.
Well, personally, I'd be happy, Never liked Gwen. Personal opinion.
But yeah. And also the artwork, I really do like the artwork in this book. Like, at first, I was like, it's, it looks a little weird. But as I read, honestly, I really did enjoy the artwork. And it does remind me a lot, it kind of does remind me of like classic old Spider-Man stories with the way it's drawn.
No.
But yeah, so the story starts with Peter, he, he's like turning on like a radio, at least the narration is, and it shows Peter Parker swinging to the bridge, the special bridge.
Oh.
Where Gwen Stacy died.
Dang.
So yeah, for those of you that don't know who Gwen Stacy is pretty much one of Peter Parker's first lovers, and Green Goblin found out about Peter Parker, or who Peter Parker was, or who Spider-Man was, which was Peter Parker, and decided to attack Gwen Stacy. Green Goblin threw Gwen Stacy off the bridge. Peter Parker tried to catch her, and when he caught her with his web, her neck snapped.
Dang.
And before Gwen Stacy's death, Peter Parker also felt responsible for killing her father, Captain Stacy.
How'd he die?
During Spider-Man's fight with Dr. Octopus, a building was falling towards a child, and Captain Stacy decided to sacrifice himself, saving the child.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah. So okay, now let's get back to the actual main story, right? So Peter Parker, swinging towards the building, or the place where Gwen's dad died, and he's like, "I'm recording this message for Gwen. Well, even though she's dead and she can't, see this message, but maybe someone else will find her message and learn about her love story and how life is." Yeah, and Peter Parker. We learned that Peter Parker here would visit the bridge every single around every single Christmas and drop by and leave a flower there or a rose. And he's going to tell the story of how he and Gwen almost fell in love, or almost didn't fall in love. And so we get back to the first flashback where he is fighting the Green Goblin. So this is right after where Green Goblin captures Spider-Man and learns that he's Peter Parker. And he's kind of describing how the Green Goblin is a pretty crazy guy, and what makes it even more crazy is how the Green Goblin is his friend's dad. He also talked about for every for every good thing that happens, you have to have something before you get something good in your life. You have to have something really, really bad happen. For example, the bad thing here is Green Goblin learning his identity. Right? And so Peter is trying to taunt the Goblin, saying "Oh, you're not really the first kind of guy I would ask on a date." Or he kind of says something like that, with that ugly green lumpy face, and he's like, "All right, Goblin, how about you take off your mask? Because I want to face Norman Osborn, unless you're afraid of me."
Wow.
And when Green Goblin gets close enough, he eventually breaks free, and the Green Goblin and Spider-Man get in a little fight. And Peter's like, "We're gonna finish this once and for all." And future Peter, he's like, "I'm not even sure what that meant." Yeah, eventually, he webs the Goblin up. The Goblin tries to impale him, or attack him with the glider. But eventually, when Goblin throws one of his pumpkin bombs, Peter catches it and throws it right back at the Goblin, knocking him out, basically. But the place is now on fire.
Hold up, so you're saying Norman Osborn is stuck where? It's a building?
Oh, they're in a building together.
Okay. So is he getting impaled and bombed, or what?
No. The glider, he tried to have a glider attack Peter. Peter dodged it, but he did not get impaled. That's later on. Well, later on in Peter's future. That does not happen in this story.
Got it.
But yeah, and the Spider-Man looks at the pretty much knocked out Green Goblin, and he's like, "Should I leave this guy here to die? I mean, he does seem like a madman, but there's a part of me that wants to, save him." And he goes up to the Goblin, takes off his mask, and Norman wakes up and he starts panicking, like, "Why am I in the suit? What's going on?" Because obviously, at least what I've seen, sometimes the Goblin's depicted as two different people, kind of different personalities. And he saves Norman Osborn, and Peter, future Peter here, says maybe saving him was a bad idea. Because we'll see what would happen later after this. And then he takes Norman Osborn out. Firefighter's asking what happened, and he's like, "Oh, the Norman Osborn killed the Green Goblin." and so he swings off and tries to sell this news article to J. Jonah Jameson
That he killed.
that Norman Osborn saved Spider-Man from the Green Goblin. And J. Jonah Jameson's like, I don't really buy it. I'm assuming that Spider-Man killed the Green Goblin. And he's like, oh, he classic old J. Jonah Jameson. Oh, Spider-Man's a menace.
Yeah. That is J. Jonah.
But yeah. And then, what's his name? Robbie? The other guy that works the Daily Bugle.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to J. Jonah and says, like, hey, we need someone to cover a news story about Norman Osborn at the hospital. And, because that will probably be a bigger headline than Spider-Man is a menace and killed the Green Goblin. And they find someone to go take pictures. And Peter's like, and Jake Jonah offers a few people in what did I say Dr. Grace's name was?
Brody?
No. Can't remember his name right now. It's out of my head. Oh boy. See if it says it here.
That's wrong. Disrupted B?
No. Can't remember his name. But yeah, the guy tells Jonah, like, hey, yeah, those guys are busy with other stories that he told him to do. And Peter Parker decides to say that he can do it. And Jonah's like, oh, fine, I'll let him do it. And Peter's also, at this time, also, Peter is desperate for money because he wants to help out his Aunt May.
Oh, yeah.
And he leaves, and then, the guy tells Jonah, like, hey, you need to be easy on him. He's a good kid. And Jake Jonah's like, yeah, sure. He's a good kid. Good kid. That's an oxymoron. So yeah, Peter swings by to the hospital and sees Harry. At the same time, technically speaking, they're not friends. Like, they don't like each other at all.
Why?
Well, Harry hangs out with the cool kids, like Flash Thompson.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he betrayed his
And he's seen as kind of like the rich, spoiled kid.
So he betrayed his friend and his 9-year-old Flash.
Kind of like, in a way, how you saw him in the first Spider-Man movie. Kind of like that. He's kind of like a jerk to Peter. But yeah, he swings by, and then Harry notices him. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I heard about your dad, and I just decided to check up to see if you're okay. And Harry's like, oh, thank you. Not a lot of people do that for, you're a pretty nice guy. And, Peter Parker tries to, comfort Harry.
Yeah.
And as he's leaving, Flash Thompson and I'm not sure who the other guy is. I guess that's just a random guy. And also Gwen's with that group. And Flash is like, what's Peter Loser doing here? Or what's the loser doing here? And Harry's like, hey, don't play the guy. He's actually a pretty good guy. Or pretty okay guy. And Peter actually saw Gwen, and he's like, that's when I first fell in love with you. And so now it goes to where Peter's at Aunt May's house, and he's asking Aunt May if he could buy a motorcycle. But Aunt May's like, motorcycle? Those are things that are dangerous. But hey, your Uncle Ben gave us didn't leave some money for you to get a car eventually, but I mean, we could, change it a bit, I'm very sure Uncle Ben will be glad that you're happy with a motorcycle. Because he used to ride a motorcycle. And he looked good with a motorcycle.
Alright. I see you, Uncle Ben. For you. I see.
Yeah. And now we head to the. So then Peter heads to a motorcycle place where apparently he's been, going to that place looking at motorcycle. And the guy's like, hey, I see you coming here a lot lately. Check out this motorcycle. But hey, you don't know which motorcycle's good for you unless you give it a test drive. Peter's like, yeah, no, I definitely want this motorcycle. And so he buys it.
Oh. He's gonna mess up, isn't
And, after, college, because at this time, I think Peter is in college. He's no longer in high school. He's, driving by, and right past the little friend group. And, Flash says, hey, watch him, Jack. And, Harry's complimenting Peter's motorcycle, like, hey, nice wheels. And
That seems so weird.
and was like, and Glenn kind of seems a little attracted to it. Is like, hey, is it fast? And Peter's like, not too fast. And then Gwen leaves them and goes with Peter.
He did that for her, and
Yes.
she actually got interested in that.
But, and, they go, hang out for a long while. But meanwhile, back at Aunt May's house, someone visits the door. And as, if Peter's here, and Aunt May tells her, yeah, sorry, looks like Peter's not home. You have to come next time. And the girl says, oh, don't worry. I can wait.
Oh no. It's MJ, isn't it?
Alright, now we move on to chapter 2. And Peter Parker's reading the news article of Spider-Man being a menace. And he, leaves off. But when he leaves, a big guy in a coat comes by. And he's like, let me see that newspaper. And he's like, okay, so the Green Goblin is dead, huh? And that's bad for me. And it's going to be even worse for Spider-Man. And then we go back to Peter at college. I think it's college. It's college. And, they're in science class. And Gwen does flirt with Peter a bit. And Flash, comes by. He's like, oh, why are you trying to be with this guy? And, Peter Parker's nothing but a loser. And then Peter's like, hey, careful. 2 metaphors in one day, Flash. You better be careful. You might hurt yourself.
No.
But the teacher heard it. He's like, hey, do I have to separate you from this little chat group you have here, Peter? Because you're interrupting the class.
Peter of all people, bro?
Yeah.
Nah, that's not saying. Peter going too far. I say call it quits. Listen.
Yeah. Peter's like, or Flash is like, yeah, this is my girl here. Yeah. And Peter's kind of thinking here, like, how is she ever gonna fall in love with me?
Actually, doesn't it take every single one of Flash Thompson's girls?
I mean, the movie, in terms of, let's see, from he did take MJ from Flash in the Tom McGuire movies, technically speaking. Well, I guess Harry did it first, but then Peter took Harry's girlfriend. And then we see Spider-Man swinging by, I think, like a police station, and the Rhino's there, and he's asleep, or with all the little gas that's going on in that room, and the security guards are watching him. But then the guy in the giant coat comes by and releases the Rhino. So Rhino's now out and free, and the Bugle, oh, Robbie, that's his name. Yeah, Robbie. Okay, now I remember the guy's name, Robbie. Okay, keep that in mind. Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson, or Robbie. Yeah, Peter's talking to J. Jonah, and he's like, "Hey, Peter, can you stop asking for money, man? You're a free intern. basically. Like, and Robbie comes by. He's like, "Hey, you can get some money if you do a story coverage on the Rhino. That's just recently got free." And so, and Peter Parker does this whole thing, does this regular old Spider-Man thing, go, and he goes to fight the Rhino. But the Rhino proves to be a very hard challenge because of his tough armor skin. And yes, I know this doesn't really look like armor, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and Peter's doing a few fat jokes, as usual.
Yeah.
But the Rhino eventually gets away, and Peter couldn't stop him.
What?
But during his fight, a piece of his suit fell off, and tries to take it with him, and goes to Kurt Connors' place.
So you
Yeah.
can like check out what
Yeah.
the material is. Right?
Yeah, like gives Doc Connors. For you that don't know, Doc Connor he is the Lizard,
Mm-hmm.
and he did appear in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. So then Ryan also appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man film. Not a very good adaptation of him.
Yeah.
Hopefully the one in Craven is a lot better. But yeah, he takes his Connors, and he's like, "Hey, can you see if there's anything I can do to see if I can, break that armor a lot more easier so I can defeat the Rhino?" And he's like, "Oh, sure." And he's like, "I'm gonna be a little bit busy as a recent because my family's coming over. They come and see me since they haven't seen me in a while. And obviously, if you're wondering why they haven't come and seen him, it's because the Lizard. And Connors is still, worried about like, hey, like, what if my family's near me and I also become the Lizard?"
Oh, so
Yeah.
he has become the Lizard before.
So yes, so he's just So he's trying to keep his family kind of away from him, just to make sure he just becomes a Lizard and eats his family. Which actually, fun story or fun fact. Actually, well, not really fun fact, kind of a sad fact. Yeah, in one of the stories, I think early 2000s, I think
Oh,
the Lizard ate his child.
his son.
Yeah, his son.
I remember seeing something about that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
He's like, but hey, if stopping the Rhino is what we must do, then yeah, I'll do it. And so Spider-Man's rematch with the Rhino. He webs him up with new special web fluid, and the special web fluid starts breaking apart his armor, to where he's now naked in public.
Oh gosh.
And without the armor, Peter's able to knock him out pretty easily.
Easily.
Yeah. And the guy with the big coat returns, and he's watching them fight.
It's Green Goblin, isn't it?
And yeah. And then Peter Parker heads home, and he gets dressed up. And he's like, "Oh, I have a wonderful guest that's here." And when he opens the door, Peter like, "Oh, you're Mary Jane Watson." So yes, that girl from earlier was Mary Jane Watson. And she says, "Face the tiger, you hit the jackpot," which is Mary Jane's iconic lie. Yeah, and future Peter, yeah, I have been ignoring little bits of his thing. He's like, "Yeah, Gwen, I don't think you'll understand this part at all." And we lead to chapter 3. Where this is kind of like each chapter just seems to have like a kind of like a part of Peter Parker's life that's kind of important to him. Like first is kind of like addressing the Goblin. Chapter 3 is mainly kind of like a focus on MJ. But yeah, Peter's like, okay, or future Peter's like, okay, so Gwen, at this time I've had a bit of difficulties because pretty much I fell in love with 2 girls now at this time. So you have to find out if I want MJ or Gwen.
You chose Gwen over MJ?
But yeah, so he goes to hang out with Harry Osborn and brings MJ with him as like his date. And then that's but Mary Jane gets there first. And Flash stops, tries to hit on her. He's like, hey, you could be with me. And she's like, and MJ knows Flash Thompson because he's kind of like a famous football player. And people find out that MJ's someone's dating, and they're wondering like, whose date is she? And then they find out it's Peter Parker's. And Flash Thompson's like, really? You're dating Peter Parker?
Yeah.
Come on, he's like the biggest loser.
Yeah.
And even Harry's surprised, like, oh, I didn't expect Peter to be that guy. But yeah, MJ kind of pulls him away from the friend group. And Flash still hears like, I don't get it. How did Peter get a girl like her?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Gwen's kind of there watching. Like, hey, you shouldn't underestimate Peter. And MJ's like, oh, so that's Gwen Stacy. And yeah, Peter's like, yeah. And MJ's like, oh, she's gorgeous. And if you're like into those, and she's like, she's gorgeous if you're into blondes. Yeah. But then the news at the place that says that the lizard is roaming free at the train station. Which Peter freaks out and he's like, oh, I gotta be there. And MJ's like, oh yeah, that's fine, you could go there. And Peter's like, I can't leave. He's like, hey, don't worry. This is not gonna be a bad date even though you leave because I know it's your job.
Yeah.
She's talking about the news report stuff. That's Spider-Man because no one knows he's Spider-Man.
Thank God.
But yeah, they both leave on Peter's new motorcycle.
Ah. I see.
But yeah, in this image here, it looks like Harry Osborn seems to be a little jealous.
What?
Yes.
Huh. Who does Harry ever date?
And Flash is silly is like, so he knows her?
It was embarrassing.
But yeah, they head to the thing, and Peter needs help, trying to sneak into the train station. So MJ distracts the police. Like, they'll try to give a little talk. And Peter suits up, heads inside the train station, and finds Kurt's family there. And they're worried, like, hey, where's Kurt Connors? And, well, his wife knows that he's the lizard, but his son does not. Because they're trying to keep it a secret. So the little boy won't be afraid of his father. And Spider-Man's like, hey, don't worry. I'll get your father back. He'll be safe and sound. And he goes on the train station, fights the lizard. And he is having difficulty due to how, strong and fast the lizard is. Eventually, the lizard, is holding on to him, and a train's coming by, and he's going to have the train hit Peter. Luckily, Peter managed to push the lizard out of the way, or push the lizard off of him, and Peter managed to dodge the train station, but the lizard gets away. And he comes out of the train station. MJ sees that Peter has a bruise and kisses him on the forehead.
He got a bruise on the forehead?
Yes.
Huh.
But and then Peter leaves again, and he's like, "Sorry, I gotta go." And he knows where the lizard went, because he goes to Doc Connors' lab, because he wants to find Connors, even though he just it looks like the lizard he doesn't know that he's Connors.
Does the lizard speak English?
Yes, he does speak English. He can. Yeah, he's scavenging around the lab, Connors' lab. He's like, "Where's Connors? I want Connors."
Why do you want Connors?
I guess I don't know. I guess he wants him to make a lizard army, probably like he did in Amazing Spider-Man. Peter finds him, beats him up, gives him the antidote just in time, and Connor's family comes to the lab, and they find Kurt Connor's completely normal. And he's like, "Yeah, here, I found your dad. He's safe and sound." And so now Connor's just spending time with his family. And when Peter heads home, he finds Harry Osborn there, sitting at his porch. And Harry asks him, like, "Hey, do you want to be my roommate? Because I got a dorm you can hang out in." And Peter's like, "Yeah, sure. That's what you found me. But I'll have to ask Aunt May first." And then Peter then asks Peter, "Hey, so you know MJ, right? Hey, I was wondering if you could hook her up with me." And Peter's like, "Yeah, sure, I guess I could."
Oh, that's why. Harry gets MJ, but Peter gets Gwen.
Yeah, I guess you say that, sure. And then we move on to chapter 4. But yeah. He asks Aunt May if he can be in the city with Harry, being a roommate for college. And Aunt May's like, um, "Yeah, sure, you can always tell me anything you want, Peter, and yeah, sure. I have a problem with you going to college. Just be careful." And now we go to the prison. And you see the vulture here is choking.
What?
And when the prisoner's like, "Hey, the old man needs help," and this prisoner goes up close to the vulture, and the vulture tells him where his suit is. And the prison guards reach the vulture, and it's presumed that the vulture is dead. And then we flash back to Aunt May's house. MJ's there with her aunt.
Her aunt?
Yeah, yeah, because Mary Jane's aunt and Peter's aunt are friends. Yeah, does you remember?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But yeah, then Harry comes by, and MJ joins Harry, and they drive off. And he's like, and he invites Peter, like, "Hey, come to our new college dorm. We're gonna have a party there." And Peter's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And we flash back to the prison at night, where the guy with the giant, I think it's the giant guy with the giant coat. Yeah, she's the guy in the giant coat leaks out the prisoner from earlier. And the prisoner finds this suit, and he flies off. And so does the coat guy. Well, he doesn't fly off, but he runs off.
Okay, something straight.
Hmm.
The vulture dies.
At least in East.
Somebody else takes the vulture suit.
Yes.
Where is it?
What?
He's wearing the suit.
Yeah, this prisoner guy's wearing the suit now.
Oh.
And now Peter is swinging by, trying to head to this party, and Flash Thompson's like, "Hey, I saw Spider-Man," and everyone looks at the window like, "Flash, you're seeing things." And Gwen's saying like, "Oh, too bad Peter's not here. I'm sure. I'm sure he would like to see your Spider-Man too."
Yeah.
And so Gwen is a little worried that that Peter's not here, but Andrew's like, "Hey, don't worry, he'll come here eventually. It's just gonna take him some time." But yeah, and then as Peter's trying to head to his college thing, the vulture attacks, and he's like, and he didn't. Well, at first he didn't know it was the vulture. He's like, because the vulture was pretty fast, and he's getting beat up.
Dang.
And eventually, he finds out, oh, this is not Adrian Toomes, this is a different guy. And this new vulture is like, I'm faster, I'm smarter, I'm stronger than that old crow ever was. My name is, oh, this is his name, Blackie Dragon. Blackie Dragon. That's how you say his name.
That's such a goofy name. Why did you say his name out in public, bro?
Villains want to know. They want to be popular, get their name out.
They're dead.
Yeah. Oh, what? So am I mad?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the matter?
No.
Right.
Okay.
And then back at the party, Flash is making fun of Peter Parker, like, oh, he's a loser. How can he not be here? And meanwhile, back with Spider-Man, he's getting beat up by the Vulture, and he gets knocked out conscious. And the new Vulture thinks, oh, he's dead. I defeated Spider-Man.
Does everyone just assume a person's dead?
Yes. In fiction, everyone assumes, hey, that they're dead.
They're dead.
And as Peter's knocked out, future Peter is telling like, oh, at this moment, I thought I was going to die, and the only thoughts I could think of was you, Gwen.
Really?
Yes.
Gwen of all people?
Yes. Chapter 5 now. Peter managed to, get up, and he heads to his new apartment, and Harry's there. He's like, geez, Perry. Or, not Perry. Perry.
Peter.
Geez, Peter. You look miserable. Yeah, you look off. And Harry's like, where were you? And he's like, oh, I was busy. And he's like, yeah, Peter's everything all right? You don't look good. And he's like, oh, I just got a cold. Yeah, because Peter got sick here. And he's like, can you just leave me to my room? I'm tired.
The party's not going on anymore?
Yeah, party's over. And he gets his, Harry's like, oh, Gwen made your bed for you. So, yeah. And Peter's like, oh, that's nice of her. And knocks out. Before he knocks, he's like, oh, yeah, that's the apartment. Yeah. Harry here, every few panels, see how he has this kind of like mean look to Peter. Kind of like he's like, I don't know, jealous of him. I think he is because, he's getting all the good looking girls.
Ah, yes.
Now, back at the rooftop, where Peter Parker originally, was knocked out, the guy in the coat's there, he's like, and he's observing, and I'm guessing he's trying to find out where Spider-Man went. And then we head back to the hospital, where the guy in the big coat finds, the original Vulture, and gives him a little special little drug to get him back up. Get him all good and healthy again.
Who is the man in the black coat? Doc Ock?
You'll find out. Alright. And it's the next morning. Peter is waking up and he smells chicken soup. And he's like, Aunt May, is that you? Is that you, Aunt May? Because Aunt May makes chicken soup.
Bro's in his own apartment and he's saying, Aunt May, did you travel all the way from there, came to my house and cooked me some chicken soup?
And
soup.
And he's like, it looks like I got here just in time. And Peter's like, wait, MJ's giving me chicken soup. And MJ's feeding Peter. And Peter's kind of, yeah. Kind of like, oh, this must be some sort of dream. Having a girl feed me.
Hold up now, boy. Continue. Fast forward.
Alright. Yeah. I hope I didn't disappoint you, myself. And she's kind of flirting with Peter. And then when Stacy comes in, and she's like, "Oh, Peter, don't worry, I'm here to take care of you too, and I'm gonna read you a book called Huck Finn." And Peter's like, "Huck Finn? That's the book that my Uncle Ben used to tell me, or used to read to me when I was sick." And you learn that Gwen Stacy learned about this book because of Aunt May. And then Peter is with these 2 girls. He's like, this must be some sort of kind of dream or something.
Oh my God, Peter.
There's no way, loser Peter would never get this kind of luck.
But watch, David, watch. He doesn't have that luck because one of them dies and he's forced to stab the other.
But yeah, then eventually he sees the vulture pass by his window, and future Peter's like, and if you remember from the beginning, sorry, like everything before everything good happens, something really, really bad has to happen, which is obviously the vulture. And he's like, "Hey, ladies, please leave. I gotta rest." And so they leave, and Peter's like, "Oh boy, I gotta deal with the vulture again." And then Flash is over here like, "Hey, what's Peter's secret? How can he get 2 girls?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. And then he tries to ask out MJ, and MJ's like, "No, shot it." And Flash is like, "What?"
How are the 2 girls not worried with each other, like, being hit on by Peter? Is my question.
I don't know. And then Peter gets suited up, and he sees, oh, great. There's 2 vultures now.
And one's gonna hate the other, isn't he?
Yeah, the vultures hate each other. And he heads out, he's like, oh boy. Trying to fight these 2 vultures by myself, out in the cold, being sick. And Peter makes a joke like, oh, let me guess. Y'all both went to the pet store, and there was only 1 bag of birdseed left, huh? That's why we got fighting?
Dang.
And so, but this time, Peter seems to be doing pretty well, and he, beating up the both vultures. But when the vultures get knocked into a statue, the statue breaks off
And kills him.
and is falling towards Flash Thompson, who was walking down the streets.
Oh no, not my Flash.
And
boy.
Peter's like, and Flash Thompson here is thinking to himself, or is telling himself, he's like, what happened to me? And back in high school, I used to be the big popular guy that everyone wants, but now he's Parker here in college. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And he sees the money bag that one of the vultures had fall to the ground. He's like, oh, must be a lucky day. And he sees the little bird-like head falling towards him. He's like, oh. But Peter manages to save him just in time. And you get this pretty cool-looking picture.
Show me.
Here we go.
That's the image. Did they recreate that image?
Yes.
That's what I said.
They recreate the amazing fantasy image.
We're
And
almost
Flash Thompson
done.
here is like, wow, you saved my life. He's like, yeah, that's what I do for a living. And Flash is here like, hey, I have a question. Like, I have no idea what to do in my life because for the most part, I've been kind of a jerk and a loser. And Peter's like, hey, you want to do something for me? Flash is like, oh yeah, sure. And he's like, take this money back to the bank. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. And also, Flash is telling Spider-Man here, like, hey, I'm one of your biggest fans. Yeah, I know the Daily Beagle says you're a menace and all, but I don't believe that because of all the good stuff you've done in the city. And so Peter swings off to go fight the vultures, and Flash is here saying, Flash, what have you done with your life?
Is Flash gonna become a nice guy?
So he heads back, fights the vultures, knocks them both out, and one of his costume pieces gets torn off.
His, not the vulture.
Yes, his. And he's like, oh, we got. And Peter makes a joke, like, and that's how you hit two birds with one stone. And so Peter heads home, or head back to his apartment. He sees Flash at the apartment, and he's getting ready to make a toast. And he's like, all right, I got something amazing to say, Peter. You should come in here and join in. And Flash is saying, I had an amazing experience today, and Spider-Man saved my life. And the girls are making fun of him. Like, oh, yeah, sure. What an amazing fantasy. More like it. And Peter's like, hey, hold up. I want to hear what Flash has to say. And Flash here's like, oh, thank you, Pete. I guess Harry was right about you. You're a pretty good guy. But yeah. And then he tells people that he's putting away his football career and he's joining the army.
Wow.
But now we head back to the place where Peter lost his costume, and the guy picks up his costume and gets a scent of it. And he finds where Spider-Man lives. And we move on to the final chapter, chapter 6. And we get a little flash. Alright. Anyway. And now we head back to a future Peter, while this Valentine's is going on, saying, I had a dream of you of when you were still alive, and I could hear your laughter, because, well, he still really misses her. And the montage is showing is Peter Parker beating up with different villains, like the Scorpion, Dr. Octopus, the Rhino, the Lizard, and the Vulture.
Oh.
And the guy is like, alright, time for my hunt to begin.
Oh, it's Craven the Hunter.
Correct.
What?
Craven the Hunter.
He's the one that's been doing all this?
Yep.
Once you said set, I should have immediately went. I was thinking of the Lizard, and I was like, wait, no.
But yeah, back with Peter, he said he's a Valentine's card. And he's like, and the Valentine's card says, will you be my Valentine? And Peter was like, and then Harry's like, hey, who sent you that, Peter? And Peter's like, I don't know. I have no idea. Probably my Aunt May. And then Harry jokes about, or worse, it being even from Flash. So yeah. And then Harry asks for Peter for his aftershave. And he kind of jokes around like, yeah, I should probably use your aftershave because you. See, I'm just saying this is how you get the ladies.
Yeah.
And also they're having like a little party here. So Peter hears the doorbell ring. He goes open it. It's Gwen. And Gwen's
The spear stuff.
Gwen's like the first guest here, and Gwen's like, do I win the first prize? And Peter's like kind of fascinated with the way she looks and her dress. And the next guest is Mary Jane. Mary Jane gives him a kiss, and then a bunch of other guests start coming in, like Flash and a bunch of other random people. I don't know who these random people are.
Yeah, they're not random, they're Harry's friends.
And then Peter heads back to his room, holding on the coats, and he hears Harry on the phone. And Peter's like, who's that? And Harry's like, oh, my dad said he's going to come and drop by. And so he's like, oh, that's great, Harry. And now they head back to the party. Flash is making another toast and talk about giving a speech. But then Peter's spider sense goes off and Craven the Hunter breaks in. And Craven's like, oh, Spider-Man's here. And Flash tries to stop Craven, but he can't do anything about it. Yeah, Flash is not that strong.
He is strong, it's just that.
Yeah, he's just not strong enough against
The
Craven the
villains
Hunter.
in this and Spider-Man are just built different, alright?
Yeah.
That's all. They're just built
And Craven looks at Harry, and he's like, you. And he captures Harry. Because he thinks Harry is, Spider-Man. And
not Peter.
so Peter hurries and goes to try to save Harry. And the girls are like, well, where are you going? And he tries to make excuse like, camera, bugle, photos, Spider-Man. And the girl's like, alright, go ahead. And then Peter's like, yeah, that was probably a pathetic excuse. I could probably make a better excuse. Yeah. And then, so Craven's up on this tall tower and he's holding Harry, above, kind of trying to drop him, and he's like, "Why don't you fight? I want this to be a good final end to you." And Harry's like, "You got the wrong guy. You got the wrong guy." But then Peter Parker or Spider Man appears, kicking Kraven's butt, and he's like, "What? How can I get the wrong guy? I got your scent." And Peter's monologue here, where future Peter's saying, "I guess the reason why Kraven thought it was Harry's because he brought him an aftershave, which is why they had the same scent."
Oh.
So yeah, they get in a big fight. Kraven's getting the upper hand. Harry joins in, hits Kraven with some sort of concrete leg thing. And he's like, "Oh, that's a foolish thing to do." And he grabs Harry, about to kill him. But Spider-Man swoops in, beats him up. Also, Norman Osborn's here. He comes in, and Spider-Man beats Kraven just in time. And Norman Osborn comes to Peter, and he's like, "Thank you, Spider-Man. Thank you for saving my son's life." And you see Norman here is kind of like sweating. So he's still like a little sick. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry. I'm glad this is over." And he swings off, and he goes talk to Harry, and they're like, "Hey, where does Spider-Man go?" And Peter heads home, and he's getting undressed because the party's over now. And Gwen sneaks and kind of comes in, and she sees the shirtless Peter. She's like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were getting dressed." And Peter's like, "Oh, don't worry. I'm actually getting undressed, but don't worry." And Gwen was actually worried about Peter. She was surprised with how Peter is because he's willing to jump into big situations where danger is, and that's the kind of guy I think she should be with. That she should be with, because that shows that Peter's brave and all.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter finds out, oh, Gwen gave me the "Be My Valentine's" thing, and then they kiss, and that's the end of the flashbacks. And we now have future Peter here, and he's starting to like break down and cry. Gwen, for years I tried to make sense of your death. Anything I call good after that. After all that bad, and this Peter, he looks miserable. So he got that that kind of beard that you see in those cartoons when they used to pick sad guy, and he's kind of mourning the death of Gwen, and he tells Gwen like, well, something good I guess that did happen was after your death, Mary Jane found the opportunity to be with me, and she decided to become more serious.
What?
Mary Jane became more serious. Because back then, obviously, she was more happy and outgoing. Kind of like careless.
But now that Gwen died.
Yeah. And he's saying like, "Oh, without you, Gwen, the whole friend group kind of just got sad, and we miss you." And he tells Gwen like, "Oh, Mary Jane's not my wife."
Which is his wife?
Yes. Yeah.
So why is he sad?
But yeah, no, he only gets sad around this time of the year.
Oh,
because it's the day that Gwen died. And Peter was glad that he married Mary Jane because he learned how to love again. And MJ comes in, and Peter's like, "Oh, how long have you been here?" And she's like, "Long enough." And Peter's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean for you to hear all this." And Peter's like, "It's okay. I know you're still mourning over Gwen's death. And tell Gwen I said hello."
Who?
So Gwen. Hello to Gwen.
Who said hello to Gwen?
Mary Jane.
You said it's Peter.
Well, no. Mary Jane told Peter to say hello to Gwen.
I thought you said it's alright.
And tell Gwen that I miss her too. And so Peter tells Gwen like she said hi. And around this time of year, I always feel blue. Not like I've been dipped in with a titty bowl man, but like in music and jazz, and feeling blue. And I long for a time when a girl I knew with an incredible smile and so much good in her heart made me think life can be great. And Peter instatate, and the story ends. But yeah, this is a pretty nice story. Very sad one.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's definitely can be hard to get over someone that, has passed away, someone you care about. And this is honestly probably one of my favorite Spider-Man stories. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite stories I own as of right now. And yeah, I think I probably will eventually do the other color stories eventually at some point in time in the future. And yeah, and I would definitely recommend this for some of y'all. Because honestly, this is especially pretty good for beginners, I would say. Because, you get to learn more about Peter's history. I think the only thing you really know is kind of like the basics of Peter Parker, and then you're good. Yeah, what do you think of the story?
I thought it was pretty good. I actually liked it a lot. Especially the part where it used Morning over Gwen. I don't like Gwen, so I'm assuming.
You still don't like Gwen?
I still don't like Gwen.
Oh, what about you,
What?
sister? What do you think of the story?
Good.
Did you listen to it?
No, she just sat there
Yeah,
the entire
I
time on her phone.
Alright, tell what happened. A little brief summary.
You better listen to the next one.
I
'cause
mean,
you
I
ain't
heard
seen
some of
this
the last story or whatever it was. Something about Valentine. Something. That's all I heard.
Wow.
one. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
What story were we reading?
Spider-Man Blue.
Oh yes. The guy. What was the newspaper guy? He was. You didn't like Spider-Man again. You said that.
Yeah.
And he was
J. Jonah
complaining
Jameson,
about
come
him.
on.
Yeah, whatever his name was. That's all I remember.
Okay, so do you know
No.
why it's called Spider-Man Blue?
I just said no.
Alright, well, yeah.
End this video.
Alright, I will. Hey, I will. Okay, so
How
yeah.
long was
This is what Spider-Man Blue. I recommend reading this. Pretty good for beginners. Story I really enjoyed. But yeah, this is the end of the video now. So please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new or you've done this already, and also leaving a like on the video does help me show that y'all are enjoying this type of content. Also, free to comment anything in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new or you've done this already. And just subscribe, just be a bell icon, which is bell icon, you know, notifications for when my new videos come out.
Wait,
Merry Christmas.
Wait. Give a very quick one-sentence summary of this story.
Spider-Man is feeling blue over Gwen.
And it's doing the whole story about it.
Yeah, story about how he
Misses
fell
Gwen.
in love with Gwen and how he misses her.
Okay, now you can end the video. Say the thing.
But yeah, that's me for today's video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Bye.
Like and subscribe, obviously.
I said those already.
Oh.
But yeah, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.